Please subscribe to our channel, Pacific Front Untold, and be sure to leave a comment after watching a video.
When the Japanese launched Operation Ichigo on April 19, 1944, they pursued two primary goals: to destroy the Allied airfields in southern China and to establish a land communications route to the Southern Army through French Indochina. The constant threat of an attack on Japan through the airfields in southern China and persistent attacks on the transportation routes between Japan and the Southern Army made this operation necessary to secure Japan's position in the Pacific theater. This article will examine the strategies and outcomes of the Japanese plan to destroy the Allied airfields in southern China. To hide Operation Ichigo's true goals, Japan first attempted to deceive Chinese and American forces by launching Operation Go-Go. The Southern Army conducted itself in a manner that indicated to the Allied forces that an operation in the Kunming area was being considered. This drew their attention away from Operation Ichigo's primary targets. However, despite Japan's attempts to keep Operation Ichigo a secret from the Chinese and American forces, their plans were known to the Allied forces. Operation Ichigo was divided into 3 phases, and each one involved the capture of at least one Allied airfield. Japanese troops consisted of the 11th Army, the Wuchang Hankau Defense Army, and the 5th Air Army. The 11th Army was made up of the 3rd, 13th, 27th, 34th, 40th, and a number of other divisions, as well as part of the Wuchang Hankau Defense Army. The Wuchang Hankau Defense Army consisted of the 39th Division, the 17th Independent Mixed Brigade, the 5th, 7th, and a number of other units. The 5th Air Army was the main force utilized. The Japanese also kept several divisions on standby to attach to the 11th Army if necessary. Phase 1 sought to capture Changsha and Hungyang. The Japanese first attacked and occupied Changsha before marching to Hungyang. Hungyang was a vital target as a strategic hub on the Canton-Hongkou Railroad, crucial for controlling the movement of troops and supplies between southern and central China. It was also home to the largest 14th Air Force Base in Hunan Province, making it a key point for Allied air operations and a significant objective for the Japanese during Operation Ichigo. On May 27, 1944, the Japanese 11th Army began their march towards Hungyang. The 11th Army was ordered to use the majority of its strength against the Chinese 9th War Sector Army. Their secondary targets were Allied forces to the west of the Xiang River, a major waterway in southern China that served as a critical transportation and supply route. Control of the Xiang River region was strategically significant, as it provided access to key logistical pathways and influenced the movement of troops and resources during the campaign. The 11th Army faced little resistance as it advanced along the rail line until it reached the outskirts of Hungyang. Hungyang was defended by the Nationalist Chinese 10th Army under the command of General Fang Jianchu and the 14th Air Force. The Allied defense, coupled with difficulties in supplying the Japanese forces, led to a 2-month stalemate in the Japanese advance. Brigadier General Clinton D. Vincent's 68th Composite Wing forced Japanese soldiers to take cover during the day due to constant attacks on Japanese troops. At night, airmen attacked Japanese motor transport, halting almost all supply activities. The Japanese cited several reasons for their unsuccessful attempts to capture Hungyang: difficult terrain, strong enemy positions, enemy determination to resist, shortage of ammunition, and superior enemy air strength. Despite the resistance put up by the 10th Army, they failed to take advantage of several opportunities to attack Japanese lines of communications that had been made vulnerable by the 14th Air Force's attacks. The city and airfield of Hungyang fell on August 8, 1944. The second phase of the operation sought to capture the airfields in Guilin and Luchaosien. Troops for the second phase consisted of the 11th Army and the 23rd Army. The 23rd was composed of the 22nd and 104th Divisions, as well as the 22nd and 23rd Independent Mixed Brigades. The 11th Army departed from Hungyang, marching along the Hunan-Guangxi Railway, while the 23rd Army advanced from the area along the banks of the Xiang and the Luchao Peninsula. The Japanese advance during this phase of the operation was largely limited by logistical difficulties. For example, the 14th Air Force persistently attacked Japanese supply lines, which slowed their advance. However, despite their best efforts, the relentless Japanese advance forced the American and Chinese troops to make a quick decision about how they wanted to defend the major airfields near Guilin. General Joseph Stilwell, the American Chief of Staff for Chiang Kai-shek, chose to bury and detonate bombs in the runways to render the airfields useless. However, Stilwell kept one airfield open in Guilin to bring in additional troops to aid the fight against the Japanese advance. Despite their attempts to halt the Japanese advance, both Guilin and Luchao were captured on November 11, 1944. Only the airfield at Nanning remained a combat base by the end of September. The third phase of Operation Ichigo sought to capture the air base at Nanning. By capturing Nanning, the Japanese would not only be able to prevent an attack on Japan, but also would be able to establish a line of communication with the Southern Army. Portions of the 23rd Army were sent to capture Nanning, while the 11th Army occupied vital points along the Canton-Hankow Railway in order to reopen the route. Another part of the 11th Army was sent to capture the airfields at Sichuan and Nasiyong. Nanning fell on November 24, 1944. Operation Ichigo was a victory for the Japanese because they had succeeded in capturing major airfields in southern China. This compelled the 14th Air Force to relocate 400 miles west to sustain the operations and safeguard the ability of B-29 bombers to launch attacks from Chinese bases. However, the success of Operation Ichigo yielded mixed results for Japan's overall military agenda. The capture of airfields in southern China only spurred the creation of new airfields to quickly replace those that had been lost to the Japanese. Although their impact had temporarily decreased due to Operation Ichigo, American forces relocated several airfields farther to the west, allowing B-29 offensives to continue. Operation Ichigo also overextended the Japanese, ultimately forcing many of their troops to pull back from territory they had conquered during the operation. As a result, although Operation Ichigo had successfully accomplished its goal of capturing key airfields, the operation did not create lasting security for Japan.